I fell down the steps today. Oh, yeah. I did. I promise you I did. But it was at a time where my thoughts about a particular situation wasn't holy, to say the least. Let me give you a brief overview of what happened. God was trying to teach me a lesson. And I know it was God because I'm telling you, when the thought came immediately, I fell down the steps. It wasn't that many steps, but it was scary and it hurt. I'm still kind of recovering. But, it humbled me up real good. I tell you what, it's rather that I get humbled by the Lord, okay? God's way, rather than to make a complete mess of myself in so many other ways. So anyway, let me give you a brief overview. Today, I'm not quite sure if a lot of people know, but I like stuff to be clean. I've said that in previous videos. When it comes to mess and nastiness, it just rubs me the wrong way. Really. In some areas, if I see debris or whatever the case is, it's upsetting, to say the least, that a lot of people can't have that same disposition. Anywho, I noticed that on my lawn, there was debris that flew on my lawn. And it wasn't mine, to say the least. And I got upset, to be honest with you. I got in the flesh, all right? And, I said, this is something that I got to do. I got to get this up. Let me just get this up. And I noticed that it was some debris that came on my neighbor's area. So I said, you know what, let me just get this up too. I'm going to get this up and I'm going to just do the right thing and just not huff and puff about it. As I was in my house, I was like, I got to get the broom and get this stuff up, And I was really thinking angry thoughts. And those thoughts were not holy. Not cussing necessarily, but I was just like, it's freaking, people, man. Like, why do you have to be freaking nasty? Like, this is disgusting. I shouldn't have to pick up your freaking trash, man. You don't notice that this is trash on the ground? Get it up. Like I literally was vexed in my spirit. And then actually, I fell down the steps. Like right then after, when I had those evil thoughts, I fell down the steps. Somebody needs to hear this. And then later on in the day, I realized that it started to rain, and God told me to clean this up because now I get it. And I'm in my car and I'm like, because the rain, it would have been a whole lot messy to get this stuff up in the rain. So during the time that I was getting it up, it wasn't raining. But now that everything is beautified and looks great, it's raining. And it just all makes sense. What am I saying? What if the 5 virgins, right, that had the oil was pious, was arrogant, and their oil and having their oil? What if they had a bad disposition? Like, see, you didn't have your oil, I got mine, or, just had that evil disposition. I don't think that they would be blessed. And we know what the oil represents. We know what it means to stay humbled and stay in God's graces. We know what it means, brothers and sisters, to stay ready and in season, no matter what it looks like. So I'm laughing now because, like I said, I fell, but God was trying to teach me a lesson. Yeah, because I was just like, man, the mindset of some people, like, why don't they have this mindset? And I'm thinking about salvation, and I'm thinking about that's how a lot of people may be in life. You know what I mean? You could teach them, and certain people, certain preachers out there can preach until they turn blue. But if it's not in a person's heart and mind to do the right thing and are spiritually ready, you shouldn't have this disposition to be mad or angry with them, or you got to just pick up the trash sometimes. You got to be willing to pick up the trash and still love your neighbor. Oh, man. I said, you got to be willing to pick up their trash and still stay humble and still love them. Oh, man. Isn't that what Jesus does to us? Sometimes we sin and do the wrong thing, and sometimes we are not in right standing. Sometimes we have a lot of spiritual and fundamental trash in our lives. And imagine if God cussed us out. Imagine if God said all of these bad things under his breath about us, you know? Imagine if God didn't love the unlovable. Imagine if God was in the flesh like I was today. God loved me even when I was a trashy woman, was a trashy person, you know, in the world. My. I don't know where this is going. I'm just letting the Holy Spirit lead. I actually, to be honest with you, I wasn't going to even send this message. But I realized that, you know, pride. When you get prideful, brothers and sisters, when you operate in the spirit of pride, you disconnect yourself from promises of God. And I want to be humble and obedient in sending this message out. I really, really do. My flesh doesn't want to send it out. But I got to be humble about the situation and realize what it means to be humble. Sometimes you're going to be embarrassed. Sometimes you have to pick up the trash. Sometimes you have to play a part that may seem less than. Sometimes you may expect others to do what God is telling you to do. Oh, man. Maybe God has put you in such a position so that you could stay humble during the course of your journey and realize the significance of being humbled. Maybe you are put in a position to be an example. Maybe your spiritual example at work is really making a difference and people are noticing. You may go to work, living a holy life, letting the fruits of the Spirit shine, letting God live, breathe, and think through you. Okay? And you think you're not making a difference, but I tell you what, not only is God noticing, but a lot of people are noticing. What type of example are you setting? Are you one of those virgins with your oil? You got the oil, but you're prideful with it? Oh, man. Arrogant with it? Yeah, you may have the oil, but how is your spirit? Sometimes God will humble you by allowing you to fall down the steps. Sometimes God will humble you by letting your prideful name or reputation be compromised just in order to set you straight. But in the end, it's better than hell. In the end, it's better than being disconnected from the vine, the true vine. So it looks cleaner outside and I feel better about it because like I said, nastiness, it does something to my spirit. It vexes me. It upsets me. You know, it makes me angry and it makes me, it's just one of those things, brothers and sisters. I don't know what your thing is. You know what I'm saying? You may have a pet peeve or whatever the case is that just downright pushes you there. But I believe that in the midst of whatever your pet peeve is, just realize that maybe that pet peeve, maybe that pet peeve is designed specifically for you to do something. You know, let me give you a prime example. Sometimes those pet peeves may be designed to get you in a position to get you out of the flesh. Because like I said, I had to realize that I was operating in the spirit, possibly of pride. Possibly, y'all, possibly. And thinking that, my poop don't stink. But God was telling me, like, remember you was in a world, how trashy you used to talk? Man, I used to be a cuss. I used to be, man, all messed up. All messed up, y'all. All messed up. And even in our walk now, brothers and sisters, we have to pay attention to ourselves and pay attention to what we do, pay attention to what we say, pay attention to how we think even, because it's, it's just, this flesh is no good. This flesh is no good. There's nothing good in this flesh at all. And it's only when you walk in the spirit, it's only when you look beyond what you can see. See, my flesh was irritated because I seen the debris, and it was, like I said, blowing toward my house, and it upset me, But God was saying he gave you 2 hands, a broom, and some fresh, clean bags. Get it up. Sometimes God will tell you to do somebody else's job, and don't ask for no accolades. Don't get upset about it. Still love the unlovable. Still love that person. I may be talking to somebody out there. I don't know if this even makes sense, but I know that this was a spiritual lesson for me. It was a supernatural and spiritual lesson regarding my character and the fact that I needed to work on an area when it has to do with things that bother my flesh. Sometimes God will tell you to approach whatever that pet peeve is and look at it and deal with that pet peeve. Whatever that pet peeve is, deal with it, and deal with it with love, and handle it and do what God says. If God says clean it up, clean it up. But it's not my garbage. It's not mine. They should clean it up. Do you know? No. Not only clean up theirs, but clean up somebody else's in the process. What if God tells you that? What if God tells you to go above and beyond the call of duty just to get stuff done? Just like in the kingdom. Sometimes God will require you to do extra. To pray more, to fast more, to take your time out to visit this person or feed that person, whatever the case is. How much are you willing to do to clean up, not only in the natural, but in the spiritual? How much are you willing to be obedient? You see, my flesh could have just been like, you know what, I ain't cleaning up nothing. I'm going to just leave it there. It ain't my debris or whatever the case is. I'm just going to go back in my house. But see, God didn't wire me that way. God didn't wire me that way. God made me the way he made me for a reason. God made me a person who likes to clean and have stuff, tidy for a reason. He made me that way. So if God makes you or wires you a certain way, just realize that same thing and that same thing about you that God only wired you the right way is to be for use. Not just for your house, but for the world. If God wires you and gives you special gifts and talents, it's not to be hid. It's not to be under wraps. It's to be what? Utilized. Exercised. To help this dying world. And when you use your gifts, okay, don't use it grudgingly. Don't use it arrogantly. Oh, man. Don't use it pridefully. Because you just might not fall down the steps, but fall even further. Bless the true and living God.